Hello folks, friends and movie lovers, welcome back to the channel and to the latest instalment of the movies in review. The movie I have for you all today to review is called Kingsman, The Secret Service. My first reaction to this movie as it started was interested. This was purely on the opening of the movie and the use of a classic Dire Straits song called Money for Nothing. I love music. Despite having a list of singers, groups, bands, artists and musicians that I regularly churn out whenever I'm asked what sort of music I like, and Dire Straits is very high up on that list, I've always considered myself fussy in that regard. If the music is just noise, the vocals are not up to the high standards that I expect, and nothing seems to fit with the lyrics, then you've just totally lost me for that piece. But if you've got a good piece where all that fits together perfectly like a hand in a glove, and is strategically well used in the movie, then for me it heightens the enjoyment of both the movie and the piece of music. That is why I was equally impressed at the end of the movie at the use of Brian Ferry's Slave to Love from when he was with Roxy Music. I don't know why, but they seemed strangely fitting and reflective of where we were at that point in the movie. Kingsman, The Secret Service is the story of a trainee Secret Service recruit 17 years after the passing of his father. Recruited to the Private Intelligence Service, Eggsy, as he became affectionately known, had been in line to take over the Lancelot codename, leaving his life of a chav, the life of crime and of his abusive stepfather and his gang behind. However, he loses out to Roxy, another trainee that he befriends for refusing the last test, yet finds himself going on the mission anyway to thwart the plans of Richard Valentine, played by Samuel L. Jackson. The big names that appear in this movie truly show why the movie is so good. We are treated to the delights of Colin Firth, Michael Caine, Samuel L. Jackson, and Star Wars' own Mark Hamill, each bringing their own natural style, charisma, and finesse that provides such a fine polish to the movie and their roles within it. The movie was certainly better for having them in it. Kingsman: The Secret Service is also a movie that its lead, Taron Egerton, gained recognition for before going on to other well-known movies, including Eddie the Eagle in 2017 and another one of my favourites, Rocketman, in 2019. I would like to say that this is the light-hearted version of James Bond, but I'm not totally sure how accurate that would be as a comment. I think the comedy and humour in this one was more overt, which I think shows a different focus between the two, or at least a different way of presenting the story. I think that is to its credit, because otherwise I fear it risked being a James Bond knockoff, always in the shadow, being compared for all the wrong reasons, instead of an independent entity that is arguably comparable to the James Bond franchise. I do think it deserves the success it has had because it complements the whole genre of movies as it sits alongside them. The thing that impresses me more is that this is the first instalment of the series, but it feels like it could exist in isolation. That being said, it felt somewhat obvious at the end of the movie that there was room for more, but with the impression that future instalments could be episodic in nature. Star Trek, as an example, manages this extremely well. Each movie is its own independent episode with its own storyline, but has a common link or theme that ties back it to the previous movies, and even the TV series. In fact, Star Trek can be hailed as an example of two ways, as Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, form almost a mini-series in which one is dependent on the preceding movie to make sense and understand the current. Even the Police Academy movies have a tenuous link to the previous movies. That being said, the link is more a point of reference rather than offering something meaningful to a continued storyline. That is how I imagined this series of movies being, though, a series of episodic installments with no bearing on the ones before and after, aside from a link or a reference here and there where it becomes pertinent to do so, without necessarily having a major impact on the movie. Something that I really liked was calling the Secret Intelligence Service the Kingsman, after a Savile Row tailor shop that was used as a front for their operations. I thought that this was wonderfully imaginative because it plays on the plausibility that a secret intelligence wouldn't be known as the Secret Intelligence Service, but as something rather innocuous that wouldn't let on that it was really the Secret Intelligence Service. Reality does hit hard, though, when you realise that in real life our secret intelligence agencies are simply called MI5, MI6 and GCHQ, which is somewhat of a climb down compared to the way they are presented in the movies. Folks, I would absolutely recommend that you check out this movie because it is brilliant. I would say an absolute must watch. The only letdown would be the age rating because I think it's a great family movie. I suppose it still could be if you have older kids because age ratings are there for a reason, and I can understand the logic behind putting certain ratings on certain movies. You wouldn't want to take your 8-year-old to see a movie like Maxine, which is age rated 18 for good reason, and down partly to the scenes where full frontal nudity, explicit sexual activity and gore. However, there are more than a few movies where I would want to leave it up to the discretion of the parents thinking of watching it. Okay folks, that's all I have for this one. Thank you so much for listening to the very end. Please remember, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon for updates and notifications on when more reactions and reviews get uploaded. My name is Simon and this is the Movies in Review. Thank you for listening.